Viva Cordia. I'm Sarah Murphy of Business Post Live.
And I'm Liam Horan, a local broadcaster here in County Mayo.
Welcome to the County Mayo and Omalley clan virtual gathering.
Over the next hour, we will take you on a cultural, historical and musical journey to celebrate the contribution of the O'Malleys around the world, while also paying tribute to the life of Pirate Queen Grace O'Malley and the people of the County of Mayo from where she hailed. Now, a message from Uachtaráin na hÉireann, President of Ireland, Michael D Higgins.
Mar Uachtaráin na hÉireann, is mín lam gacra guire iliog, mahan hain agus san ar glan mór gaelach scape. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be part of this clan gathering of the O'Malley clan. As President of Ireland, I extend my warmest greetings to you all on behalf of your wider Irish family. May I send my greetings to your chieftain, Tom O'Malley, and offer my congratulations to your Taoiseach, Governor Martin O'Malley, who will take on that role when you convene in Newport in Mayo in 2021. Watching Guim Gacrahart. I am so well aware that this is not perhaps the form of the gathering as you had envisaged it. It is, however, without doubt, a celebratory event, and while you may not be able to gather in Mayo or Clare Island as intended this year, you are sharing together in a profound connection to that beautiful part of the island of Ireland from where the surname O'Malley originated and will always be celebrated in legend and history. May I congratulate all those responsible for this year's most impressive and wide-ranging programme. Tres Liam Liv, congratulations. It is understandable that one of the most famous bearers of the O'Malley name, Grace O'Malley, will feature prominently. Grace O'Malley, a woman unafraid to question the world she inhabited, to overcome barriers, to blaze new trails, is forever connected to Ireland's relationship with the sea. Her contribution to the political and social history of Ireland, and in particular to our maritime history, is as unique as it was courageous. Her fearless arrival up the Thames is one of the great events of colonial confrontation with a monarch that generated respect between two of the strongest women in the history of the period. How appropriate, then, that the Tall Ship planned to bring young people from Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland together for youth development voyages will be named after this inspirational woman, heroic warrior, and legendary seafarer. Recalling Grace O'Malley will help us to call to mind, too, the spirit of those emigrants who travelled from Ireland to unfamiliar places across the decades and centuries, building new homes, lives and families, seeking to retain all that was best about their past, whilst being unafraid to push beyond those boundaries in order to realise new and better futures. We as a nation owe a great debt to those immigrants and their descendants who have contributed so generously to the land of their birth or forefathers and played a significant role in the crafting of the Ireland we inhabit today. It is a great pleasure, therefore, to have the opportunity to speak to the O'Malley clan today and to thank you for your great commitment over many decades in keeping our culture and heritage alive and central in the USA. The surname O'Malley derives from the Old Irish Omalley, a follower or devotee of St. John, and is a name carried proudly by many Irish people, both here in Ireland and in countries across the world, playing its own unique role in the long and profound history of the Irish in America. That history of migration is one that has changed and continues to change with each generation. Its 19th century form was first influenced by the response to the Act of Union. Then later, its post-famine exodus rooted in despair, dispossession and great hunger. Between 1846 and 1855, over 2 million people left this island, more than in the previous 2.5 centuries combined. Some 1.5 million of those went to the United States. Amongst that number were many immigrants from Mayo and other parts of the west of Ireland, where many counties lost over half their population during the famine years. Since then, many chapters of that history have evolved. Many new beginnings have been undertaken. Many stories of opportunity, innovation, reimagining, suffering, loss and exile have been written. The story of Mayo is a story that runs several generations deep, comprised of many layers, some yet to be dealt with by a new generation of historians, and much complexity too, which we must have the courage to face, as Mayo and its people continues to evolve and change in a modern and increasingly interconnected world. It has become firmly embedded into the political, cultural and economic spheres of the USA and rooted into the American urban and rural landscape. All of you participating today are part of that story. Some of you are direct descendants of those who left Ireland during the Great Famine, on Gorta Mór. Others children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the many men and women who have departed our shores in the intervening years in search of new lives and better futures as the face of the Irish people turned to the sea. Others of you are, of course, newer immigrants to the United States of America, and your experience is greatly shaped by the interconnected world we now inhabit and the modern-day Ireland in which you grew up. Whether Ireland is still a place you call home, or a place in which your origins are rooted, you are part of our global Irish community, one connected by a shared past and cultural heritage of which we are all very proud. Indeed, that cultural heritage, in all its so many forms, is at the very heart of our identity, connecting all Irish people wherever they are in the world, not only to a common history, but to a creative present and to a future full of possibilities. We are deeply grateful to our Irish diaspora who works so passionately to keep that culture and heritage alive and relevant in their new homes and communities, making it accessible and relevant to the descendants of those who have left Ireland over the decades. I think, for instance, of Marty Walsh, Mayor of Boston, whose parents emigrated from Connemara many years ago, and who himself speaks our beautiful Irish language more fluently than many who have been born and indeed reared in Ireland. The migratory experience, which has so deeply imprinted itself on our Irish psyche, is also deeply woven into our music, literature, drama and song. That creative impact speaks so strongly of an Irish nation that stretches far beyond the boundaries of our island state. Our culture, into which an Irish-American contribution is so seamlessly blended, enjoys global recognition, reflecting the spirit of tradition and change that lies at the heart of Ireland's global community and our artistic life. New forms and works of art have been greatly enriched by the remaking and reimagination of the self that is such a profound element of the migratory experience, and through which our Irish family abroad have made a lasting impact on their cultural legacy. The Omalley clan in the United States of America are an integral part of an Irish-American community whose foundations are grounded in the lives of those who left our shores so many years ago. Today, you are responsible for the continuation of that community, and you contribute, as your ancestors did, so much to American society, committed to building a better future in the United States while honouring the legacy and heritage of a shared past. I wish you all a most enjoyable gathering, and I hope that you will be able to reunite in Mayo in 2021. Míle buíochas, Barbanach.
Will you meet me on Clare Island? The summer stars are in the sky. This is Leo Moran of the Saw Doctors saying hello to the virtual gathering of the Omalley clan all over the world. How are ye? Hope you're enjoying it, and I hope to be able to see ye around this part of the world in the not too distant future. Will you get the ferry out from Runa and wave all our cares goodbye?
Let's head over to Rockfleet Castle to hear from Chieftain of the Omalley clan, Tom Omalley, to tell us how it all started.
My father was involved with the clan in the 40s, and the clan was set up, the clan association was set up in 1949, And the main reason for setting up the association at the time was to get O'Malleys to subscribe to the association so that this castle could be restored. And shortly after that, then it all worked up towards having the first ever rally, which occurred here in 1953, and that was the celebration of the restoration of the castle. So it was a very important event for the O'Malleys in terms of the history, and obviously the celebration of our ancestor Grace O'Malley.
In 1953, the O'Malleys got together and really to restore a castle on the mainland, and they elected a Taoiseach in the old clan system style, and the Taoiseach then became chieftain the following year. And so there have been 67 chieftains of the O'Malley clan since 1953. I was 43rd chieftain, but I'm now among the elders of the clan, and I am the guardian chieftain of the O'Malley clan, elected by the former chieftains. Well, there are thousands of O'Malleys all over the world. I had my gathering here on Clare Island in 1994, and we had 250 people on the island.
Well, in the O'Malley clan, I'm a past or former chieftain. My mother was also a chieftain, Anne O'Malley Kelly, and she was the guardian chieftain. And my grandfather was one of the founder members of the clan association and was guardian chieftain for all of his life. So I am in a very unusual position to be a third generation chieftain of the O'Malley clan, and very proud of that.
Perhaps the best known inhabitant of Clare Island is the pirate queen herself, Grace O'Malley. She's remembered in this poem that was written about her in the 18th century and is being read publicly for the first time today.
We that are Irish before the gale, fighting the sea since the world was young, sing of our longing of Inishfail under alien skies in an alien tongue. Her red gold hair against the west, with the horned moon alone is crowned. A pike slants out beneath her breast, tied to her sword belt, a white-fanged hound. The heather beneath her bruised feet, with the trail of blood forever drips. But the joy of the countless aeons meet in the chant that sings from her tameless lips. Well, Grace O'Malley really is an inspirational beacon to us women today. I mean, what Grace O'Malley did, you know, you would have not dreams of, you would nightmares of. She took on the sea. She's the only female leader in world history that also commanded by sea. When you think of Catherine the Great and her great contemporary Queen Elizabeth I, they never went on the sea. So Grace O'Malley had two obstacles in her life. She had to break down the barriers that women encountered in the legal system, and certainly she did that, but she also had to take on nature.
Well, Grace O'Malley was a woman really out of her time. She was a real feminist. She led the O'Malley clan, even though a woman couldn't become chieftain in her own right. Only men could become chieftains. But Grace O'Malley, after the death of her first husband, Donal O'Flaherty, she came back here to Clare Island with quite a group of O'Flaherty men who followed her, and she had a flotilla of ships. She sailed here from Clare Island right around down to Spain and North Africa. She was quite an amazing woman.
She had a ring of castles around Clew Bay. This is the only one on Achill, which is the northern side of Clew Bay. And the great thing for her was that having lots of different castles, she could be in any one of them at any given time. And when there's lots of warfare and battles and things going on, it's great to have multiple places. And also a way of keeping an eye on whoever might be coming into Clew Bay and know what's going on. It's very well situated, where it has a good view out onto the northern side of Clew Bay, but is not visible from the water. So it was a good defensive position as well.
It was from Carrigaholy here that Grace O'Malley set sail for her most famous voyage of all time. And why did she go to Elizabeth? There are lots of tradition about it, that she went as the great Queen of Connacht, meeting an equally young and powerful Queen of England. Well, of course, no. Much more interesting than that. Both women met in old age. And Grace Omalley went for one particular reason that every woman in the world can understand. She went to seek the life of her youngest son.
There was a viceroy here called Bingham, and he did not like Grace Omalley because she knew the waters around here really well, and the only way he could get to her was he actually he captured her son and her brother, and he put them into prison in Athlone.
She put her head into the Lyons' den to save the life of her son. But being Grace Omalley, she didn't go willy-nilly. Her letters to the court, you can see the great Machiavellian mind that Grace Omalley has. You can see also how she's so attuned with international politics. She knows who's who at the court of Elizabeth, who to appeal to, and eventually it proved successful. Now, very few people got access to Queen Elizabeth I, and Grace Omalley did. And in July 1593, both women met, and Grace Omalley got everything she asked for from the Queen. Indeed, there's a lovely letter that I found during the course of my research from the Queen. A little catty, she was of the same vintage as Grace Omalley, and yet she refers to as an aged woman, but we let that go by. It was just one woman's depiction of another. And it is here in Rockfleet that Grace Omalley died in around the year 1603, and her chamber in the top of the castle here, which I hope all you O'Malleys will see on your return, is very, very evocative of her and her life. And I would like to say to all O'Malleys that, you know, you have a wonderful, wonderful heritage, and you have a remarkable ancestor in Granuaile, Ireland's great pirate queen. Now out of the south, the north and the west, when our bodies die, our one goes sail, in galley and longship to find our rest, near the crumbling tomb of Granuaile. Up the swinging surge, past Clare Island light, we silently sail in our ghostly ships, and Bonba waits through the fragrant night to give us at last the touch of her lips.
The renowned Grace O'Malley Castle on Clare Island itself is in need of complete restoration and is an ongoing and active project for both the O'Malley clan and the residents of the islands.
We're always trying to better our community and secure the population here on Clare Island. There's 160 people here at the minute, but at the height there were over 2,000 people. So the history of Clare Island has been one of constantly declining population. So we're trying to arrest that decline. And really a key part of how we're going to make this island sustainable is to get the castle here over my shoulder developed into something that can bring new business, bring visitors, raise the profile of Clare Island, and hopefully help secure this population.
We have been trying to get this castle restored for a very, very long time. But now we have movement, I'm delighted to say, and it's really due to the people on Clare Island who, you know, have been steadfast in trying to get the castle restored.
The island is a bed of history, literally, from start to finish, if you wanted to go into it in that way. But the castle, of course, has an extraordinary history. And I always felt, being involved in tourism, that the castle would have been a great asset to the island if we could have it restored and have it as a depository, if you want to call it that, for the history of the island, and particularly the history of Granuaile.
It has always concerned us that perhaps 10,000 to 15,000 people a year arrive down here on the pier. They walk past the castle. It's falling down effectively. There are no windows, there's no roof, there's no doors. Some of them will realise that it's a tower house, but most of them will just see an old building and they move on to go and have their swim or to go and have their walk on the island or to go and have a couple of pints at the sailor's bar. And then they go back on the boat and disappear, and they know nothing really about the history of this castle. They don't know that it was built almost 500 years ago. They don't know the most iconic woman who ever lived in this country had a home here.
Yes, well, this is a very iconic building on Clare Island. It's over 600 years old. The Cistercian monks would have lived here back in the day. For later than that, Granuaile is interred here. It's famous for its wall paintings and frescoes which adorn the ceiling and walls here. There's very little of that left in Ireland at the moment. The resources that we have are things like our heritage and our history, things like the abbey, the castle, you know, the landscape that's so rich, the full of the fields, the megalithic tombs, etc. These are the things, these are our resources. These are the things that we can utilise to ensure, like it's a treasure trove of history. Like it's, you know, our landscape is almost a museum, a permanent exhibition to the world.
There was another project on the island which was the preservation of wall paintings which are in the abbey, which is where Grace Omalley is supposedly buried, and the castle had to take back a back seat. But now we're hoping that the castle will be is now to the fore, and it's a really important icon here on the island.
One of the reasons why the Omalley clan was established was to preserve the history of the O'Malleys and the history of our architecture and buildings and stories, and the castle is such a big part of that. So to see it restored is important to the O'Malleys, but it will be very important to Clare Island and to the entire west of Ireland.
Let's say hello to some members of the Omalley clan and Mayo Diaspora joining us today from around the world.
Greetings from Wisconsin. I'm David Malley.
And I'm Ellen Malley.
And we sure appreciate Chieftain Tom and everyone for getting us together virtually this year.
Hello there, Kate Mila Fulcha. I'm MEP Maria Walsh, originally from Shrew, County Mayo, and coming to you from the European Parliament in Brussels.
Granuaile is no stranger to Spain, so I'm delighted to be talking to you all the way from Madrid.
Hello everyone, this is Dave from Birmingham. With a new clan member, Ethan, who's now 2. It's been a few years since we've been able to attend the clan rallies, but we'd love to be there this year.
Hello to all our O'Malley friends and relations around the world. Jiv Galer Clan Iwalya.
Owen O'Malley here on the Grand Place in Brussels. Wishing you all a happy virtual gathering in 2020 and looking forward to the next physical gathering as soon as possible.
Hi, I'm Peter O'Malley. My grandparents, Connor and Sal Joyce O'Malley, grew up in the Mam Valley. My grandfather was guardian chieftain of the clan. In 1954, he was the second chieftain. My father, Connor Cahill, was an eye surgeon, and he grew up in Galway and Barna.
Hi all, we're O'Malleys from Brno, Czech Republic, originally from Swinford, County Mayo.
Dan O'Malley here, 120 to 140 O'Malleys out here, enjoying the day.
And now we go over to Enda O'Coneen, Business Post publisher and adventurer. Enda has brought his 16-foot inflatable dinghy to Clare Island for our gathering today, which 35 years ago he used to cross the Atlantic from east to west. The dinghy is named Kilcullen after his Mayo grandaunt. Let's chat to Enda and hear more about the Atlantic Youth Trust's plans to name Ireland's youth development tall ship after pirate queen Grace Omalley.
Here we are. Great.
Now, so, Enda, tell us about this craft you're on.
It's hard to believe, but 35 years ago, I crossed the Atlantic in this boat. I'd lived in it for over a month and a half, and I never really wanted to see it again. and it's changed hands many times. And some months ago, it ended up with a diver, and it was a wreck. So I bought it from him, and we've just restored it now. And it's just magic here to be on Clare Island. I'd never have thought that I would ever see this boat again. And to me, at the time, 35 years ago, it was quite a big boat. But I see now how small it is. And she's 15 and a half feet long. And I had a sailing rig and a tent that I would sleep on. So here we have it.
But Ireland used to have a youth sail training ship called the Asgard, and tragically she was lost. So a few of us have come together, some very interesting senior people, and we formed the Atlantic Youth Trust charity. And the Atlantic Youth Trust charity's mission is to connect young people with the ocean and with adventure. And we were looking around for a name, and we decided to call our new ship the Grace Omalley. So it's a fitting, it's an ocean going, it's in her tradition. And so that's kind of my maritime link with this incredible global gathering. And it's our ambition that to have this as a youth sail training vessel.
Sport plays such a pivotal role in Irish life and culture. Over to Castlebar comedian Ger Staunton to have a chat with some Omalley and Mayo sporting legends.
Thanks very much. Welcome to the County Mayo and Omalley virtual gathering. Online with me here, I've got Mayo footballer Cillian O'Connor. How's it going, Cillian?
How you doing? Very good.
Right, how are things? We've got Joan Malloy, who's a solo sailor and possibly, if I'm right, future first Irish woman to sail around the world.
That's the plan, yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan. We'll come back to that, John. How are you? And we've got a former Ireland rugby international, John Hayes, as well. How's it going, John?
Very good, John.
Yeah, John, your link is, you've got a serious link. You're a direct descendant of Grace Omalley, County Mayo.
In the family tree, we're descended, I think, from her. The generation above her is where the link is.
Yeah, and you actually replicated her sail up the Thames a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, last year, just kind of for a bit of crack, we brought my race boat from the west coast of Ireland and sailed it all the way up the Thames into the centre of London. And that was to recreate a voyage that Grace Omalley did. She was going to speak to Queen Elizabeth I. I was thinking, as I was sailing up the river, I was thinking, you know, I'm there, I did my state-of-the-art race boat, you know, and she would have had, you know, a massive old, well, I mean, I was new at the time, but a massive slow ship, and she had a crew full of people here presumably wanted by the English.
Did they know that she was coming? Did she just arrive onto the Thames unannounced?
Yeah, she arrived, no, she was announced, but she kind of said, I'm coming over. But in those days, you know, there was a couple of factors, like, you know, I knew, right, I'm going to be under Tower Bridge between 8:15 and 8:45, whereas she would have been like, I hope to be there in the summer.
Okay, you know, right, so, yeah. Cillian, just about the sporting thing, because like the west of Ireland is huge for sport, and especially Mayo and the Mayo team that you've been part of, because you probably don't want me saying this, right, but we've been to 9 finals in 20 years, and everybody is waiting for Mayo to win it. How much does GAA and that kind of the excitement of the Gaelic football mean in the west of Ireland from your perspective, from what you see?
I think you've summed it up fairly well there. It's like an annual pilgrimage, really, isn't it? You know, everybody is waiting for the year to start. It kind of signals the start of the new year when the footballs come out in January, and then, you know, the countdown is on to the championship, and it kind of highlights the sense of community, you know, that's probably so special in Ireland, really, that, you know, no matter how well you get on with the guy across the road or up the street, you know, come the Mayo match, you know, you're all driving to the same place to support the same team. So it's something that we're all, you know, hugely proud of, and I love it.
The belief that you guys have to keep coming back and coming back. And I want to ask this to you, John, as well, because a couple of weeks ago there, we saw that the ex-Ireland manager, Jack Charlton, died. And one of the things that people keep saying about him was that he made Irish people believe that they could compete on an international stage and compete with people that we never thought we were able to either beat or even play on the same pitch as before that. Did you see that at the time? I know you were playing rugby, but did any of that spill over into the belief you guys would have had?
Absolutely would have, yeah. Because sometimes as Irish people we're a little bit that way, maybe that we really put ourselves down, and sometimes it's somebody from outside like Jack Charlton who did come in, and he'd obviously seen and he had played with enough of Irish players like Johnny Joyce and stuff over in England that he knew Ireland had good players, and there was other players playing in England at the time when he came over, like Ray Houghton and Ronnie Wheel and all these fellas. So he didn't see any reason why these fellas couldn't do it. So that's what he had to bring in, was to bring in a belief into teams, just to put them all together from the different clubs in England playing for Ireland. The Irish fans then after that then became the best in the world, where they followed them to all the tournaments. So they showed that it's there if you just, like Mayo have the fans as well, so Munster, everybody has them. Just got to give them something to believe in.
So what's the plan for the rest of the foreseeable, John, for yourself?
Second cut silage now in the next day or two. Anyway, the weather is good. I'm looking out the window here outside and the sun is shining, so I'd say in the next day or two we'll be getting into that to try and get that done. That's the next job that has to be done in the next agenda. Yeah.
There's no lockdown for farming, is there? The cows don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, that went on the whole time. The cows were calving in the spring, and silage has been done. So, and the children were off school, so that was the only thing that had a bit of help. But
fair play. And John, yourself, for the immediate future, you're not sailing around the world just yet, but it's in the pipeline, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the pipeline. Well, I suppose I have a baby due in September, so that'll kind of keep me occupied for a few weeks anyway.
A few weeks.
Somebody is saying all that sleep deprivation training I've been doing is going to come in handy.
Killian, are you back training yet?
Yeah, so we're training with our clubs. The inter-county team haven't gone back training yet and are due to go back on the 14th of September. So for the time being, it's about trying to play well for your club and get as far as you can in that competition. Be ready to rock when, fingers crossed, it all kicks off again in October.
Yeah, brilliant. And it looks like we might have a Christmas All-Ireland final.
That's it, December 19th, so keep that date.
Thanks, everybody. It means an awful lot, and I'm sure people around the world are delighted to hear your voices sing the praises of your Mayo links and the Omalley links and Grace and all that. So we much appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Thanks very much for having me on today in the virtual gathering, and to everybody watching on behalf of Mayo GAA. We're very grateful for all your support, and as ever, we're looking forward to representing the green and red in the coming season.
Thanks again for the invitation to be part of today, and just all the people around the world. Stay safe, and we'll see you again next year.
Thanks again for having me on today. It's been a pleasure to be part of this. I'm always really proud of my Omalley heritage, particularly my links back to Grace Omalley. And I think that it's really important that all of us who feel that link back to our Omalley heritage stay in touch and stay connected for the future. So I think gathering events like this are really important, even if this year it has to be online. So I'm really happy to be part of it.
I'm Beth Omalley and I'm the granddaughter of Ellen Omalley Dunlop, who is in the Omalley clan. I love Clare Island and I've been there every summer since I was around 8 weeks old. It's a great community and it's a very beautiful island. I used to love going into Gronnywell's castle and I'd pretend I was her battling off the pirates. I used to really want to go upstairs, but I couldn't, so I'd absolutely love if it was restored and I could see how she lived back then.
Greetings, extended Omalley family. I'm Brian Omalley, and this is my daughter, Grace Ryder Omalley, born here on the shores of Provincetown Harbor at the tip of Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
My name's Martin Omalley. I'm the former governor of the state of Maryland, former mayor of Baltimore, and I'm talking to you direct from the land of the free and the home of the brave, Baltimore, Maryland. I was one of 6 kids. We were raised in an awesome family. My parents, Tom and Barbara Omalley, and my people, my Irish people, my great-grandparents came from Galway, up in the mountains between Galway and Mayo, from the area around Mam. You know, I grew up in a house where my mom, who married a guy with the last name of Omalley, my mom was mostly German, by the way, but my mom had the zeal of the convert. I mean, she way dialed up her, whatever, 10 or 16% of her own Irish DNA. And so all year round in my house, my mom was always playing the old songs, you know, mostly done by the Clancy brothers. So I grew up with a curiosity about those stories, about that history. And in high school, I kind of fell into an Irish band and found myself at the age of 17 playing in Irish bars before I was legal to be able to drink in them. And that opened a whole world for me. So with the guitar and with the music and with the songs, I played for years and years. It was always something I did. I became involved with the Omalley International, as it were, after I was elected mayor of the city of Baltimore. I remember very distinctly getting a letter on Omalley clan stationery saying that Omalley International, the entire tribe, throughout the diaspora, was very proud of the political accomplishment of my being elected mayor of Baltimore. And they invited me to come to one of the annual gatherings. And every year I would get the invitation. But it wasn't until after I was out of office that I finally was able to make the time and go. It's a great group of people. They've been getting together every year for 67 years. And I was always very much aware that they were rooting for me during my years of service as mayor and then subsequently as governor. Had occasion when I was elected mayor to be able to receive official visits, not only from Bertie Ahern, but also from Mary McAleese, the president of Ireland. It's my honor this year to be able to serve as the Taoiseach. And because of COVID, I'm going to be probably the longest serving Taoiseach in Omalley clan history, which means that following next year's gathering, I will be the Taoiseach. I told my wife after a disappointing presidential run, I promise you I'm never running for office again. So I had to get special dispensation to run for Taoiseach of the Omalley tribe. One of the honors or responsibility that's given to the Taoiseach is to determine where the gathering will take place. So for my year, I really want to see us gather on Clare Island. I remember very distinctly going there with my wife and our 2 little daughters years ago, and walking into what is pretty much a bare bones, the castle right there that was once a Grace O'Malley castle. And so I would hope that we might also be able to realize the ambition of restoring some of its ancient luster as part of a legacy gift project, something that we can do together with the people of the island. To O'Malleys all around the world, be strong on land and sea, and strong in our relationships with one another and our love for one another. We're all in this together, and our world can be a better place if we make it so, and we must.
We agree with you completely, Martin. We're all in this together. Let's now go over to Castlebar and have a chat with former Taoiseach of Ireland, Enda Kenny.
The call of home is very strong in every person. But we're in an immigrant county where for a century and a half, people had no option but to leave, either for Britain or for America, and settled in different parts, particularly of the United States. So the call of home was always very strong, and those who left more than 50 years ago rarely ever came back. But with communications now, it's so easy to be in touch, irrespective of where people are. New Zealand, Australia, America, South America, by the modern methods of communication. And yet, I know that in the last few days, young people in Melbourne, where there's now a second lockdown, say they've never felt as lonely and as isolated from Ireland. So that is a natural call of where you're born, because history and geography really, dictate the kind of personality and character and people that we are. And I do hope that the virtual gathering will be an enormous success. It's building on the capacity that's already there. But also in terms of the O'Malleys, I think we shouldn't forget that sort of 500 years ago, Grace Omalley was a formidable woman who left Clare Island and sailed right round by the Mizzen, up by the Fastnet and Tusker, and up the English Channel to see Queen Elizabeth I. Both women sort of airbrushed out of history in many ways. Dan Chambers' book, from Just Born Across the Mall here, has brought Grace Omalley to a new light. And I do hope that the Omalley business will result in the old castle being restored for the good of the community on Clare Island, which arises from what people say when they land on Clare Island. What is that building? And of course, these are things that can all happen. So the connection globally is something that will be built on, and I think has enormous potential. I think in every single community in the country, when we've been through the difficulties and the pressures and the hardships of lockdowns and people having serious difficulties, being out of work, unemployment, short-term work, and uncertainty about the future. And yet it's brought a whole strength of community, because they've been walking within the 2 kilometres together or the 5 kilometres together. It's brought communities together, and in a different way, something that's always been very well done and understood in Ireland has been the funerals, and they've been so different and so distant and so isolated, literally, in terms of that. But it brings communities together in a different way. I meet so many people now who say, I appreciate things in a very different way than I did before. Nature, animals, birds. There's not a house in the country that hasn't been painted and power washed and decorated, and gardens and all the rest of it. So people are taking a pride again in things that have been, very close to them. Family, husbands and wives and children, and the importance of that. So it's family, health, and appreciation of what it is to be here. I think it's brought in its own way a new focus on that, and that's important for people. Yeah. And I don't believe in the curse of 51 at all. We're on the march again, and that eternal quest will come to an end sometime. I hope to be in Croke Park to see it. What's happened is it's built a brand image of the county and the football team, and all of those young men who participated in teams over all those years have played their part in that. So the Mayo brand has grown into Mayo.ie, which is now a county day for Mayo, and other counties are following suit. And it does unite people from all over the world by communications and whatever means. But in the All-Irelands that we played against Dublin and so on, people came back from Australia, came back from America, came back from South America, because that call was so strong to be there to see them win. And we didn't win, so they're still coming.
Well, I'm Ciarán O'Hogarty, President of NUI Galway, Uachtaráin Ulster and Gaillimh, and we are the university that serves the Western Seaboard. So we are based in Galway, but we've campuses and medical academies in Letterkenny, Gweedore, Sligo, Mayo in Castlebar, and also in Carna, Caharua, and in Galway itself. So we've the largest footprint, if you like, geographically in the context of certainly of our Irish universities. And this year celebrating 175 years. So particularly pleased to welcome the O'Malleys and to recognise Grace Omalley as somebody, Grace herself as somebody from the west of Ireland, but also the O'Malleys as a very important part of the Irish diaspora more generally, but also the presence on the Western Seaboard. So Donna Falche with Vintry Walya, agus tá brother in which of Veling, Actasha Vling is a spirit Peshkele. Anyway, Galway really has a very important role in Mayo, the west of Ireland more generally, because as part of our strategy, we've committed ourselves to being here for our students, our society and our planet. And as part of that, we see ourselves as being the engine of economic growth and civic growth, if you like, in the west of Ireland. And as part of that, we have a particularly important role to play, not only in Galway, but in Mayo as well, with a presence in Castlebar, through the Mary Robinson bequest in Ballina as well. And we have a medical academy based in Castlebar, and we work with, say, the hospital group there. And we also get very many students from Mayo. So one of our main catchment areas is County Mayo for a long number of years. And I think we also, as a university for the past 175 years, represent the, if you like, the intellectual element of the west of Ireland, and also representing civic society. And our sense here is that Grace Omalley in particular, and the O'Malleys in general, have been a very important part of civic society, and we're therefore delighted to be part of this particular event today. We have 20,000 students here, not necessarily on campus right now, but enrolled with us. And they come, we have the largest catchment, if you like, both geographically, but also we attract students more than any other university in Ireland from outside our region. And as part of that, we have very important international reach as well, and particularly in our medical programs and in our programs in arts and Irish studies, a very important relationship with the US. And finally, I'd say, in particular in the context of the O'Malleys in general, and the legacy of the O'Malleys has been particularly important for the west of Ireland. I think recognising Grace O'Malley as a woman who was very powerful in her own time and whose legacy has remained afterwards, I think for that reason too, NUI Galway today recognises the O'Malley legacy today, and we're very pleased to be part of that. We're also supporting the Mayo and O'Malley gathering because we like to see ourselves as thought leaders. We are thought leaders in the region, and again, in particular, bringing people like yourselves together, I think that encourages that sense of ambition, if you like, to not only remember the legacy of Mayo and the O'Malleys, but also what's possible for the future. On behalf of NUI Galway, and as its president, I'll just leave you with maybe what may become a byword of the current crisis. I'm currently reading Marilyn Robinson's The Giveness of Things, and in that she has a fine line which I think is fitting for the time that's in it. She says that valuing each other is our greatest safety. And I think of an event like today is very much valuing each other. And I wish for the future that we will continue to do so. Valuing each other is our greatest safety, particularly in the current context. And I wish you the very best for that. Stay safe and well. Thank you very much.
Hi all, I'm Siobhan O'Malley from Annacotty, County Limerick, and I'm a descendant from the Maru O'Malleys, portrayed so eloquently in Grace Cantlin's book, Roundhouse O'Malleys.
Hi, my name is Paula Denaro. My mother was Geraldine Mealy, her father was Edward Mealy, and his father was Edward Mayley, because Edward Mayley came from Ireland where they were the O'Malleys of County Mayo. But I've got something a little bit different than Grace O'Malley did. Well, maybe not different, but exactly the same, because I am part of a crew called the Black Raven.
All hail to the O'Malleys of the world. I'm talking from Madrid. I'm not an O'Malley, but I am the stepdaughter of one of the finest O'Malleys, I'm sure, Pamela O'Malley.
Hello everyone, just wanted to wish both my own lovely O'Malley family and the whole clan association a very happy online gathering from Copenhagen. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person next year.
I'm a proud Mayo man, privileged to lead our defence forces. Women and men, many from Mayo, who through their loyalty, dedication and commitment serve Ireland. Our defence forces are part of the bedrock of our sovereignty, part of the framework for our society where people are free, where the institutions of state function and where the vulnerable are protected. Our values as a state have been forged in a furnace of migration and famine. Values that drive our empathy and our support for the oppressed. Growing up in Castlebar, often with the Ramblers Club, I stood on Croke Moyle looking west towards Clew Bay, and on a good day I could see Clare Island. It's there I first learned to sail, refining my skills in Killary Harbour before I joined the Navy. In my years of service, I often patrolled the Mayo coast, from Inishturk up towards Clare Island and on up to Achill, Eagle Island and Black Sod. One of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. A land-sea interface that encompasses probably the richest food-producing ecosystem and renewable energy environment on the planet. It epitomises terra mare potens, power by land and sea. For this is the coastline where almost 400 years ago, another sailor, the warrior Queen Grace Omalley, exercised her leadership. Her example is so important today. There is an inextricable link between gender gap and the oppressed, driving interstate and intrastate violence. On this, the 20th anniversary of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, it has never been more important that we use the leadership example of Grace Omalley to strive for greater gender equality and empowerment of women. Mchugh Mayo Berbua.
So welcome everybody here to Achill Island in County Mayo. We're at Gilty's Bar for the tasting of the Grace Omalley whisky today. So behind us we have Clare Island, Inishturk, Inishboffin, and we've got Clew Bay. Grace Omalley was a leader, a skilled negotiator, an entrepreneur, and she's much loved in these parts. And it's with that history that we actually developed the Grace Omalley brand of whisky and spirits. So guys, welcome everybody to Gilty's Bar here in Achill. We have a really hard job this evening. We actually have to taste Irish whiskey, so we'll do our best. Obviously the tradition of the area of Grace Omalley, but on top of that, we wanted to bring something special to the brand. So we've partnered to create a great product with Great Northern Distillery, and we wanted to bring an international flair to this. So what we did, we went looking for somebody internationally that could blend, and we found a guy, Paul Carey, who's an international renowned blender. He talks about whiskey as a perfume. So he's developed 5 different whiskies that actually go in to make up this blend. So what you have in here, if you want to have a quick smell, it's a tour glass, by the way. This what you have here is quite interesting. It's a Skellig Michael base, and you can actually get to swill and turn your whiskey to actually release the aromas of the flavours.
It's a shame to drink it seems.
Yeah.
Not
it smells
quite.
really fruity and fresh and very
So
sweet as well,
absolutely,
spicy.
Absolutely.
Perfumey slightly, isn't it?
Yeah. So what happened to whiskey? So poaching would have been the traditional whiskey. So the monks would have made a neutral spirit. And back in the 1700s, it would have been tradition to move casks. Any product, whether it was herring, flour, used to travel in casks. And what happened was, all over the world, everything from cognacs to bourbon started to be moved in casks. And what they realised was that the flavours improved and the smoothness came out. So what you actually are picking up there is the flavours coming through on the whiskey. What's interesting, you've got nearly a 50% single malt in here. And what Paul did, which was unusual for an Irish whiskey, he's created a double distilled majority in the mix. And when you double distill whiskey, it's actually more flavoursome. But what he wanted to do actually was create a smoothness as well. So that's why it's 50%, up to 50% on the single malt. And then the grains, which run up to 10 years old. And then he's got a small amount of grain finished in a rum cask to actually create that perfume idea of the 5 blends in the whiskey.
I was just thinking, I was noticing if as wine drinkers, a wine taster would say it's got legs. If you see the drips that remain on the side of the glass, that's always a sign of a decent wine for starters, they say. So is it true whiskey? It must be.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Stephen, what kind of flavours are we going to expect before we taste this?
You're going to pick up vanillas, you're going to pick up honey, there's almonds, you're picking up peeled oranges, and obviously you're going to pick up malt. And what you're getting is the malt and the overtones of wood from the casks.
Lovely.
So you should be able to pick that up. Now, if you've done your smelling, I'm going to ask you to taste it. Okay. And what you must do before you do, have a very small taste first and swallow it. And then when you have your second taste, what I want you to do is hold the whiskey in your mouth and count to 10. But take in the flavours and really taste the product before you swallow the whiskey.
Okay.
Sláinte.
Yes. Definitely getting the honey flavour. And the spice as well, it's lovely.
You put a lot
there's
of
lovely warmth or something about it as well, you know?
Yeah, the strength really comes through.
Yeah.
Holding it in your mouth for that period of time before swallowing it, the strength really comes through it. And as you say, afterwards as well.
Paul put a lot of work into the blend to make it smooth as well as tasty. So just in case anybody doesn't have whiskey as their favourite drink, because it's not everybody's favourite drink, we actually have a gin which is actually made from heather which is picked off the mountains. This gin with a plain tonic and then a slice of grapefruit and some ice. And on a nice hot evening, that is
very refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Absolutely.
Stephen, where can we get our hands on Grace O'Malley whiskey? If you're not giving us a bottle, that is.
Well, maybe later on. So Grace O'Malley whiskey's been on the market for over a year in Ireland, so it's available across the super values and different shops across the country. It's available in Germany and it's launched in the US. So if anybody would like to join us with the Grace O'Malley tasting later on, you can actually buy it on 2 websites, irishmalts.com, and that's for Europe, and for the States you can buy it on shop@graceomalley.com. So thanks for joining us, everybody here and everybody who's joined us across the world. We're thinking of you, and we hope you join us next year. We'd love to see you, and we'll join you in a Grace O'Malley whiskey, and believe in Grace. Sláinte.
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 Well, we would have forged strong connections with Mayo communities and Mayo associations right throughout the world. New York, London, Manchester, Sydney, to name but a few. And I suppose Mayo Day is the culmination. It allows all of those people to give the opportunity to express their Mayo-ness and to feel proud of where they come from and to act as ambassadors really for the county. So Mayo Day is very important to us. I think it's unique. I think we're one of the first counties to take a day in the calendar to mark Mayo Day, where for that day people can stand and be proud of where they're from, no matter what part of the world or what part of the globe that they're in. And I think having gone through the last couple of months, I think that's even more important to people, that they do feel connected, that there is a global family that's out there that they can reach out to. I suppose that the clan gathering is an important part of our Mayo roots, and the Omalley clan will be a significant element of those. You have had to be very innovative, I suppose, in the times that we're living in how you organise the gathering, and you're to be congratulated on that. But I think it does have, a virtual gathering does have the advantage, I think, that it will allow more people to connect and to become involved in the gathering. And to see what the county has to offer. I wish them every success, and I do hope that at some point in the future, that when our world reopens again, that people will have the opportunity to actually visit in person and to experience the wonders that is Mayo. Yes, we were successful in our application to Fáilte Ireland to launch the Home to Mayo 2020, which is going to take place in the month of May next year. And there'll be a number of activities and things to do for the whole month of May of next year. It's kind of akin to the previous gathering. But this will be just for Mayo, and we're inviting all of our Mayo diaspora, all 3.5 million, to come and visit any time during the month. You're welcome at any time, but in particular during the month of May, where there will be loads of activities and events happening for people to come and enjoy. So mark the date in your calendar. It's May of next year, so please start planning now to come, and I can assure you of the greatest Mayo welcome.
Mayo is a great county for business opportunities and entrepreneurs. And here are examples of 2 homegrown local companies that are based in Mayo but are blazing a trail across Ireland and the world. Firstly, Pell, Waste Reduction Equipment, are a good example of one of the many enterprises based in Mayo and exporting worldwide. Headed up by entrepreneur Tommy Griffith, they have recently moved to a new purpose-built factory in Ballandine. Secondly, CMS Distribution, headquartered in Kilshama and led by Frank Salmon, is a leading specialist distributor supplying business and consumer technologies to customers across Europe and APAC. CMS also employs 350 people across 12 sites in the UK, Ireland, Netherlands, Sweden, Spain, Australia, China and the US.
Hello there to all the Omalley clan all over the world, and I hope you're all very well, and best wishes to you all. So I'm going to play your song for you now, so you better sing along. Okay, have a good one.
Hello, O'Malleys, and hello, Mayo. Greetings from St. Louis, Missouri, the middle part of the United States. And first of all, let me say congratulations to the organizers of this event, who were so determined that even a pandemic wasn't going to interfere with the normal traditions of having this gathering every year. So congratulations and well done. Michael and Elizabeth Omalley, my grandparents, left Westport in 1910 with 7 children and hopes for a better life here in the U.S. When they arrived on these shores, they went and lived in Chicago and had 8 more children. And in true Omalley diaspora traditions, those direct descendants of Michael and Elizabeth Omalley are now spread all over these United States. But because of the strength of family ties and because of the allure that Ireland has for us, 60 of my cousins were able to gather initially in the ambassador's residence in Phoenix Park and then in Westport for our own private reunion in 2015. And that is a true testament to the strength of the Omalley family ties and to our love for beautiful Ireland. I also had the pleasure of leading Vice President Biden and his entire family on their first trip to Ireland as a tourist. We made full stops in Ballina and Castlebar and then Westport, and a number of rolling stops along the way, and everyone along the way enjoyed seeing the Vice President. He has told me on many occasions that this was the highlight of his trip, and perhaps we'll be able to convince him to make a return trip next year, even if he is perhaps beginning a new job at that time. So the beauty of Ireland and the warm welcome and the gracious hospitality keep me, and probably will always keep me, returning to beautiful Ireland and to visit with the Omalley clan there. So to all of the O'Malleys dispersed all throughout the world, my best wishes for health and happiness and peace, and also my best wishes for a much better 2021. God bless you.
Whoa, where is my tribe? Whoa, where is my tribe? Whoa, to all the Omalley clan all over the world, what a beautiful tribe you are. I'm not in the Omalley tribe, but I'm Luca Bloom here in the west of Ireland sending you love and hoping that you all remember in this challenging year of 2020, we are all in this together. Have a great time. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
All right, look, we're very, very delighted that Jen Omalley Dillon has graciously accepted the Chieftains Award this year from the Omalley Tribe International for her accomplishments in the public arena. Jen Omalley Dillon is a campaign manager of Joe Biden's presidential campaign. And Jen, it's great to have you with us. Tell me about your own upbringing and your own background. I'm sure a lot of people want to know, like, where's your family from?
I was raised, I don't know if this is unusual or not, but having my Irish heritage be such a big part of my family and my life. In particular for my dad, telling stories about our family and where we come from, talking about Irish Americans and how important our community was and is in Boston.
There were some who would say that given the history of the O'Malley tribe, that strong women leaders run in our DNA. What's your take on that reputation?
Well, I would have to say that I agree. Now, first of all, I am, I'm here in this role, often not very many women who do this type of work. But from a very young age, my dad told me that there wasn't anything I couldn't do if I didn't work hard and set my sights to it. So I never believed that anything wasn't possible for me. But I also know we do come from strong roots. And in fact, I have two identical twin daughters who are 7. And both very strong-willed young women who I will love a lot more for their strong will in their 20s than I do at 6 and 7. But one of them is named after Grace Omalley. And so we tried to make sure that we carried that line and really reinforced the strength of where we come from and where our kids are going to take us in the future.
No, that's very cool. Another Grace Omalley in the world. We can't have too many. I have a Grace. Tell me a little bit more about your dad.
So, well, both my parents are Irish Americans and from Ireland. My mom's family's from County Mayo. So on both sides, I think, we've always been proud to say that, we're 100% Irish now. Who really knows? When you have all these DNA things. But,
we all have our crosses to bear.
Right, exactly. Don't tell anyone. My dad is an amazing person. He was a public school teacher, as was my mom. They're both retired. And my dad, he's a larger than life personality and someone who, was the leader of our family, the leader in many ways of our community. And, he also talked a lot to us as we were growing up about the times that Irish Americans went through. I remember, vividly him talking about the Irish need not apply signs and really setting at an early age for me the importance to understand that there's a place for everyone. For me, I'm obviously in Democratic politics, and that's also because of my father.
Joe Biden's people are from the west of Ireland, right? They're from Mayo. You said your mom's from Mayo.
Yeah.
And I've read certainly that Vice President Biden's people are from Mayo as well. So maybe there's a trip in the offing there.
Right. It's funny actually, because I worked for President Obama and Vice President Biden in their 2008 and 2012 campaign.
Right.
And of course, we interacted a bunch over that time. But starting on this campaign has been the first time that the vice president and I have spent more time together. And the thing I think very often, he's the same age as my dad is, but that, there are shared connections from his story and his upbringing and his roots and values that I feel so closely to me and my family. We often talk about the similarities of where we come from. And that's just a special connection. And being from a very proud Irish family, you can just feel that. And I think that's added to our ability to work together in partnership on the campaign.
We are so very proud. When I say we, I have been empowered to speak for the entire O'Malley Tribe International. When I say that we are very, very proud of you and the leadership that you are showing us and our world through the Biden campaign, and very, very proud, many of us here in the United States, of the principled campaign that Vice President Biden is running. High-minded, calling on America to embrace this moment, this third industrial revolution, this awakening of a third human ethic, the ethic of the earth, the understanding that we're all in this together. And I think those are all very Irish things. And no doubt your leadership is going to be critical in these months ahead. And all of the O'Malleys, Jen, all around the world are very, very proud of you.
Well, I, first of all, thank you. And this is a great honor. I have been raised to be a proud Irish American, and that is as much a part of me as anything else. And having my children carry Omalley in their name as well, and making sure that we continue to tell the story of where we come from. And, I'm sure, like many of you, I can't wait to the day that I can bring my girls and my son to Ireland and teach them about where we come from and continue that connection. And, I think our story is one of resilience. And I think I see that in my own family, but also in so many of us in so many different ways, and in particular in what this whole world is going through right now, which is so unprecedented and so challenging. And it's not just challenging for us trying to work on a campaign. We're all going through it at the same time without really knowing how we're going to get through it. There's a strength that comes from knowing where you come from and knowing that you're part of this community that's bigger than yourself. And I think that's what being an Omalley is. Also a strong personality and a strong person. That's where we come from. That's our stock too. But I'm just proud of being part of this and really grateful that I have an opportunity to give back.
Well, you said it so very, very well. Community, connection, resilience. Here's wishing you strength on land and sea and in the campaign ahead, Jen.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Now we are going over to Balleek Castle in Ballina to chat with Minister for Agriculture, Dara Calleary, and Larita Blewett, who is a cousin of Vice President Joe Biden.
There's always been a very strong link between Ireland and the USA. We have that access on St. Patrick's Day, which many countries would give their right arm to have. That is still there, that is still active. And we have so many Irish people, so many Mayo people who have made their name in politics, made their name in business, made their name in social life right across America. But they bring their passion for justice, their passion for politics, their passion for representation back to their Mayo roots and back to their Irish roots.
Yeah, so I suppose it's a link we've known through the family for generations, but it was obviously made more prominent when Joe Biden became Vice President of the United States. And I worked very hard for a number of years to try and get him back to Mayo, back to his roots. And thankfully that came to fruition in 2016 when he was able to come as Vice President and just see where his roots were. So it was a really, really special day for us.
I think the visit by Vice President Biden was hugely significant. It all helps put the county on the map. As the reader said, it was a fabulous day. And what we got from him was just huge amounts of his time. Very, very warm person. He greeted everybody. I felt so sorry for his security detail. They just couldn't keep up with him. But it was obviously pre-COVID, but he was high-fiving, hugging. It was just a wonderfully informal day. And it's very important. It's all part of showing that link, that diaspora. Connecting the dots is something that we're really strong on, connecting the Mayo dots all over the world, connecting the Irish dots all over the world.
And then in 2017, he came over here and turned the sod on the Mayo Hospice. His son Bo died in 2015 from brain cancer, and hospice is a very special place in Joe Biden's heart. And Bo Biden's name will be forever attached to the Mayo Hospice because Joe came and turned the sod for us.
Finally, back to Uachtaráin na hÉireann, President of Ireland, Michael D Higgins, to read his own poem of Utopias.
Of utopias. Old utopias never die, nor do they fade away. Born of possibility out of ancestor traces, memory gives birth to imagination. From a whisper it grows and makes a music in the quiet places of the heart, where a new song is made, soaring above the lesser sounds of false inevitabilities. It makes an echo. Nor is it the vain cry of a child of reason. It is a shout at the future that is there for the making, becomes a song shared by the many in joyous anticipation.
Sinead, what a fabulous day we've had here at the County Mayo and Omalley Clan virtual gathering. We'd like to thank all of our partners, TG Cahir, Mayo.ie, Grace O'Malley Whisky, Pell, CMS Distribution and NUI Galway. We're now going to raise a glass of Grace O'Malley Whisky to Grace herself. Sláinte! Sláinte! Business Post Live has been delighted to organise and produce this County Mayo and Omalley virtual gathering. In particular, we thank the Omalley Clan Association for their friendship. We thank our virtual gathering partners, Tribe 101, TG Cahir, Mayo County Council, NUI Galway, Grace O'Malley Whisky, Pell, CMS Distribution and the Mayo Man's Association. The Business Post is the leading daily news site and print publication for business, current affairs and politics in Ireland. Visit businesspost.ie to receive your free daily business briefing.